Thank you. So a question's up on the chat. So is there a concern, we're going back to testing. Is there a concern that people will be requesting a test when they're asymptomatic?
That
That's a
exists
huge-
today.
yeah.
That's we called them the worried well, and that's existed from the very first case that was reported. Is people, again, they're scared, they're anxious, and they want to know. And so our specimen collection site over on Floral, this is still our position today, that we only test symptomatic patients. So whether they're physicians, employees, residents, patients, members of the community, community physicians send patients to us all the time, but we only test symptomatic patients. We don't, at this current time, test asymptomatic patients. We simply don't have enough testing supplies to do that. But as I've said before too, if you test negative, if you're asymptomatic and you test negative, it doesn't mean you're immune. It doesn't provide you any sense of peace of mind. I mean, other than at that moment, you're not infected, but you could be infected, 1 hour later, 1 day later. I think the antibody testing is going to become more important. Because then we will be testing a lot of patients that show no symptoms whatsoever, but we want to see if they did have the virus and do they have immunity.
Well, and we understand the fear. I mean, you and I, every time I cough, I'm like, oh my goodness, there was a day a couple of weeks ago, I felt like I was taking my temperature every 10 minutes because we understand the fear.
Yeah.
We're all on the lookout for those symptoms.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of normal that people think they have it, want to get tested, even though, their symptoms are
what's
not
so
there.
interesting, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people now that most likely had it and felt nothing. They had
Right.
no symptoms whatsoever. They didn't even have the cough, that you were describing, that you felt. Or they had something so mild, they chalked it up to, hay fever,
Right.
allergies, or maybe have a minor cold, and they got over it very quickly. So that's the big challenge of this whole virus is, and I've heard anywhere from 30% to as high as 80% of people that have contracted the virus and were asymptomatic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.